Greetings, friends. This is Isaac Vatupa Jr. with another vignette of how I see it. The Liberian Airport Authority debacle that is currently going on in the press is like an albatross around the neck of the government of Liberia. I think it is time for the Liberian people to get some leadership from the Ministry of Justice, the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission, and or the President on this issue. I think the level of corruption and the amount of government funds in this situation is very significant, and somebody needs to bring a semblance of responsibility, organization, and respectability to this process. We have seen several articles from Front Page Africa that have read like promotional pieces that seemed as if the highest bidder got the best story on a particular day. We know the key players in this: Musa Ability, Ellen Cochran and Melvin Johnson, Amara Kone, the folks at PP&CC, and Mohamed Deng, the Senegalese national who is also at the center of this, the Liberian Airport Authority, LA Board, and other peripheral actors. All of them need to be immediately investigated and deposed under oath. Information is being leaked to the press, which is not appropriate. The government of Liberia needs to attach some seriousness to the leakage of all this information and put a clamp on it. We know that laws have been broken because the PP&CC, as well as the public financial management law, restricts a lot of the activities that have already gone on. So it's important for this to be investigated from all ends: criminal, economic, and legal. So significant dollars are at stake in this particular situation, and it is necessary that the investigation cover all of those. We already know that $250,000 have been paid out under the signatures of Ms. Cochran and Ms. Ability. Mr. Ability, who received those funds, we are not sure. It was paid to Diaspora Consulting, but whether they actually took, who was the actual recipient of that fund is still unknown. We also know that Ms. Cochran paid about $26,000 to herself as bonus when she shouldn't have, according to what the contract stipulated, as well as $90,000 to Mr. Johnson for legal services. Are those actual figures that Front Page Africa is giving us, or are those just figures they made up to smear the character of Mr. Johnson and Ms. Cochran? So all those are issues that need to be fully investigated. On another note, Mr. Dieng, he's a Senegalese national who Front Page Africa presented in two different conflicting perspectives. In one of them, he was a student in the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and he also came to Liberia as an exchange in a program that Harvard has with the government of Liberia. Whereas they also mentioned that he was being paid by UNDP to be a foreign policy advisor to the Ministry of Planning. Those are contradictory. On his own LinkedIn profile, Mr. Deng has himself as an instructor at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government and as a senior policy consultant at the Ministry of Planning in Liberia for the Agenda Transformation Vision 2030, the Growth Corridor, and several other key Liberian government economic activity documents. So Front Page Africa is either being paid to put these stories out, or they are just making up stuff, or which I don't believe, or they have just not done their homework in a serious journalistic investigative framework to put these stories out there with just significant number of praise for the Ministry of Finance for blowing the whistle and PP&CC, when these should be things that they should have some technical oversight of and be able to check before it even happens. And they have also basically excluded Mr. Ability in their last article, when actually he had his signature on a document along with Ms. Cochran paying $125,000 out. So I think we need to get the government of Liberia, the Minister of Justice, and the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission to put the fingerprint on this issue, bring it to a halt in terms of it being played out in the press and having a public decision being made rather than a legal and investigative decision being made as to who's guilty and who's not. So therefore I call on the President, I call on the Minister of Justice, I call on the head of the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission to tell Liberian people how they are going to bring this to resolution and what approach they're going to use to do it. They need to provide a clear roadmap as to how they expect to end this soap opera that is affecting the Liberian people and doing in the best interest of the Liberian people. In closing, I would like to extend my condolences to the family of Mr. Frank Seaton, who wore the colors of the Republic of Liberia and represented us as an international soccer player representing his country. We pray for the family to persevere through these very hard times. I would also like to extend my condolences to the people of the Republic of Guinea, especially those members of the armed forces and the families who were affected by the death of the officers that were en route to attend our Armed Forces Day program, but unfortunately due to a malfunction in the plane, they could not make it, but 28 miles away the plane exploded and they lost their lives. So we hope that the family will be strengthened by the Lord and they will walk through these hard times together and persevere. Thank you.